Hello, welcome to Record Sports Hotline Live. I am delighted to be joined by the one and only Keith Jackson. Keith, how's it going?
Very well, but just before the titles ran, Mick Gannon was live outside Celtic Park.
We had the
Seems
one
to
and
have
only,
disappeared.
the only one and only Mick Gannon was here a minute ago. We were hoping to get him
That's
on
a
the
nasty
show live.
surprise, isn't it? To start the show.
I know. Well, hopefully he will appear back in 1 minute or so. He obviously is going to talk about Brendan Rodgers' press conference today, which I think by all accounts, Keith, was quite an interesting one.
Well, it was, because obviously Brendan, this was after his comments following the Dundee game at Dens Park, the defeat up there, when he was comparing his players or saying that, you know, he was effectively driving a Honda Civic and trying to race it like a Ferrari. And it's obviously caused some consternation. We've discussed it in a couple of times, and I think today, there's Mick joined us now. I think he was asked about that today as well, Mick, and I don't think he backed down. He doubled down, didn't he?
Yeah, he didn't go into reverse gear, so to speak, to keep this tabloid pun fest going for another night. Yeah, I said no regrets what he said. I think he said something like that. He got asked if he was worried about how that might went down with his squad, and he's basically said, "No, I'm not worried." He said, "Listen, he's too long in the tooth. He's too long in the tooth to be concerned about that kind of stuff. He's trying to get a tune at this team." He did try and clarify to say what he meant was he's talking about speed. He's talking about the speed of his team. That a Honda Civic isn't as fast as a Ferrari, and the team hasn't got the same speed that it had last season. So that was the kind of way he clarified it.
The quote I've got here is. The quote I've got here is, I'm not really worried. He's asked if he's worried about the effect it'll have on the players. I'm not really worried. No, you can't please everyone. The players know that I'm with them. I have no regrets. It's something I felt at the time, so I said it. And then, as you said, Mick goes on to clarify that what he meant by it, and he's right. You can't argue with it. But I wonder. This is what I'm glad that you're on, because you can take this one or two ways. You can take this as this was a shot directly up the stairs, aimed at the boardroom, saying, "You've left me with a clapped out motor, and now you want me to drive it like a Ferrari." Or it's a motivational shot aimed at his dressing room to try and get something out of players that aren't giving him enough. What one is it?
I mean, it's a bit of both, isn't it? Really, it's clear. Listen, I think he's gone beyond. Listen, the first time round, Brendan Rodgers. I covered a lot of that beat as well, and it was the coded messages. It was almost like he was kind of blinking out Morse code what he really meant. And there's a bit of that kind of getting towards the end of last season and the start of summer. I think now he's at the point. It's almost like I'm just going to say what I think. Really, I mean, remember his press conference a month ago that it was jaws on the floor stuff. I think he's very much at the stage. He's had 800 odd games under his belt. He's thinking, you know what? He's got contracts running down. You just say what he thinks. The phrase that handed the keys of I think that's a key part of it as well. It's like handed the keys of a Honda Civic. So that is a wee aside that goes
stairs,
point straight up the stairs, and it's also a wee dig at. I think it's not. Listen, I was told it from some of the players that he came in after the window and he said, "Listen, what's happened? You're my guys. We're going to get through this, etc., etc." And it was quite rousing. He got the place going again. To go from that to kind of call him a Honda Civic in a month or 5 weeks, you think, well, this sounds a wee bit kind of harsh, but I think he is where he is right now, and I don't think anyone can really deny that is the case.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Celtic have downgraded massively over a period of kind of 18 months, 2 years. So I'm not saying they were a Ferrari 2 years ago, but or a Honda Civic now. Not that there's anything wrong with a Honda Civic, by the way. But I just think he is where he is. It's kind of why I think I asked him as well today. I was like, is he scunnered? Because he looks a wee bit scunnered.
That's a question.
Aye, but that was fair.
You didn't only just get a name check, but you also got that's a good question, Michael.
I didn't think it was actually at the time. I thought it was a bit silly. I heard myself saying it. I've got a habit of starting a question and I wonder where it's going. And I thought I had to try to explain, do you understand the phrase scunnered? Because people do think he is scunnered. Everything with the window, with the kind of the backstabbing, the kind of everything. The performance of the team, the way his team's looking in the squads and all that stuff, and the kind of injuries, everything's kind of piling up on him. And you think, is he a bit scunnered? But he said no. He came back. I thought his answer was quite nice in terms of no, I'm more motivated than ever. Well, I thought that's true. I don't know. I mean, you think his contract is running down. It doesn't look likely to be hanging around any longer. It must be difficult for him. I mean, he's the one trying to get this team up. How does he get himself motivated? That's the question I was going to ask him. But it seems to be that he's up for the fight. He is in a fight right now. This next fortnight is going to be huge for him and for Celtic.
Yeah.
Totally it could either be the spark that ignites the season and they kick on and be successful, or it could send the place into absolute carnage.
Yeah.
Because if it goes wrong, it's a whole new story.
Yeah.
So yeah, I thought he was in good form today. I thought he was in pretty good form as usual.
Listen, he is the master of the press conference, isn't he? I mean, he's the Jerry Maguire and put him in the living room, and that's him and his environment. I thought it was interesting, and I always look for, because you've done more of Brendan's pressers than me probably, Mick, but you're always looking for a little sign, something, because there's always something in his noggin that he wants to put out there. And I thought, was it twice, 2 references today he made to the lack of harmony around the club, and he said, I'm sure you'll find there's been studies done out there, which is him saying there have been studies done out there, and I know exactly what they say about the detrimental effect that it has on the workplace or the workforce. Yeah. But I'm not going to go into that right now. But the fact he referenced it twice told me that he knows exactly, and he'll be able to point to it, and he'll be able to put it in front of somebody and say, look, guys, this is your fault.
Yeah, I love to find this study that says that throwing tennis balls out a pitch for the game makes a guy take a dodgy free kick or can't defend a corner. There's a direct correlation in that evidence. I love to see it. So yeah, I thought that the question that's posed at the weekend is that have an effect on these players? I think it's got to. I mean, they're human beings. If there's fans, but I think the fans are protesting at the lack of quality in the squad. If you're in that squad, you're thinking, it's a bit harsh, especially when one of the new signings.
They're chucking tennis balls as the bosses call me a Honda Civic.
I'm dodging tennis balls because of the lack of quality. I'm meant to be the quality. Yeah, so I don't see how it cannot have an effect on a team. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see what's happening tomorrow night here. I can't imagine it will go without some sort of protest, whether it's banners or songs, or I don't know what they've got planned for tomorrow night. Excuse me. So it's not going away. That's the thing, and the only thing that might ease it if they go run of results, but I just don't think the team looks capable of it right now.
Well, that's the thing, Mike. That you're absolutely right. The key now is for Rangers as well as Celtic is just to try and get some results and get some momentum. And so looking forward to tomorrow night's match against Sturm Graz. I think Sturm Graz are a pretty ordinary side, by the way. I think I know they're doing well domestically in the Austrian League. Seen them a couple of games in this Europa League. I don't think they're up to much. I think Celtic, if they're anywhere near their levels, win that game. But I'm not sure. I mean, I've tipped them to win it, but I'm not entirely convinced because all these factors that we're discussing right now.
I think it's an awkward one because I think you're right. I think they're pretty average. But Dundee were the worst team in Scotland at the weekend, and then just done a number on the Celtic. So the fact that they're bang average shouldn't be taken as a guarantee that Celtic are going to win. I also think the way they play away from home in Europe as well, they'll sit pretty deep. They've got the blueprint. They've seen what frustrates Celtic. So I think they'll take that blueprint and try and frustrate Celtic. They'll sit deep. They're quite direct, so there's every chance that they'll sit deep and then they'll ping balls out from. I don't mean direct. I don't mean the long ball merchants. I mean they get the ball forward quite quickly, and that's the kind of a recipe for disaster for Celtic. That's the kind of hitting the counter with direct balls is dangerous for them. It happened at the weekend at Dundee, so it can easily happen in the Europa League against Sturm Graz. So I think they've got a difficult game. I think Rodgers is going to try and. I think he'll pull something out of the hat. I think tomorrow night. I think he's going to kind of tactical box of tricks, and I think there'll be something different tomorrow night. I think he's hinting that there'll be something, whether it's a formation or the team he selects. I think there'll be something that might look slightly wacky at first. I think he's going to try something tomorrow night.
And Dyson Maida's out.
Maida's not going to make it.
There's a lack of an option.
So there's one option gone. That's another potential right side at the window. Arthur Johnson looks though he might be pushing a start, might be early for him. Remember they've got Hearts on Sunday. I mean, again, he was asked today, is that not the priority, that game? And Rodgers, as he would say, he said no, it's the first game is a priority and getting back in the Europa League, which I get, but you could argue Sunday's a bigger game in the current context. So I think you might try something tomorrow night. I think you might see some slightly different looking shape and style of Celtic. But it's a tough environment to go gambling and experiment, isn't it?
Yeah.
Before we let you go, Mick, comments are coming in. We're going to hear from Andy Newport live from Norway in just a moment. But before I let you go, Mick, Paul in the comments says, I have no confidence at all we'll get a result tomorrow. What's your predictions, Mick?
I think, oh no, I can't remember what I put in the paper.
I'm going to have
again,
to check now.
every week I do this. I think I said nothing each. I think Celtic will get frustrated and they need to be careful on the counter. So I think it could be a cagey game. I think I put nothing each. I think Celtic are on a really difficult period right now. And I said the bookies had Graz at 5-1. And I'm like,
that's mad.
Phone the mortgage advisor and get my dosh and all that. have it all.
Celtic are certainly odds on.
Yeah, I know. Bookies are rarely wrong, but 5-1 Sturm Graz. I mean, the bookies. There's a reason why they're driving Bentleys.
Yeah. I've
5-1 seems generous. Yeah. No, listen. I just don't know what they're going to look like in terms of formation and lineup. But I think 5-1 is very generous for Sturm Graz, that's for sure.
Mick, we'll let you get up the road. Thank you very much as always for joining us on the Hotline Live.
Right, I'll wait the bookies. See you later, guys.
Cheers, Mick. And as if by magic, substitution, the one and only Andy Newport live from Norway. Andy, how's it going? Oh, he's muted. I don't know. Hold on just a second. Oh, there he is.
There we go.
There we go. I'm just saying, I used to have a Honda Civic, and I tell you what, I used to drive it like a Ferrari. Maybe that's why I had to go to the Knackers yard pretty early then. So.
Was that your motive when you were a wee boy racer, Andy? Was it a Honda Civic?
Maybe still am a boy racer, so there we go, pal.
You're obviously there, Andy, ahead of Rangers clash with Brann tomorrow night. You've heard from Danny Roll and Thilo Esgard as well?
Yeah. Danny Roll was just saying a lot of sort of things he said yesterday, what he's looking for this game. I think the big interesting thing is just how different he's going to be able to make this team look, because he's had, 1.5 training sessions really to get to his ideas across to these players. So it's going to be fascinating to see just how much he's going to verge away from Russell Martin ball. But he was in confident mood. He was talking about obviously his past experiences in Europe with Bayern Munich winning a Champions League in 2020, and talking about how it'd be a dream come true if he could sort of replicate some of the success he had in Bavaria here in Glasgow.
It's not going to be easy though. Is it Brann looking at league table? They'll be a tough team, particularly away from home. Third in the Norwegian League, 15 wins from 24 so far.
Yeah, beat Utrecht last time out. So, I think they all know the way that Rangers have been playing, domestically and in Europe. It means that these games aren't going to be easy for them. I mean, there's been little sign of optimism throughout the season so far. So all these games are going to be tricky. But the fact that the Brann look like a pretty decent outfit themselves, having a decent season domestically, obviously the fact that they play this sort of summer season, so they're right into the sort of closing stages of their domestic campaign. They will be absolutely primed and ready to go. Speaking to we had the Rangers record podcast this morning with Scott McDermott and myself, and we had a Norwegian journalist on. He says that this is actually a huge game for Brann. This is the biggest game, second biggest game they feel they've ever had in their history. They played Liverpool here in the mid '90s, and he says, but no, this game is just as big as that. Almost the fact that they've had a good start. They lost their first game in the group, but they've bounced back against Utrecht, and now they'll look to build on that and really have a shot at getting into the knockout stages. So it's going to be certainly a tough one for Rangers tomorrow night.
What's your first impressions of Danny Roll, Andy? I'm interested to know.
I like him. I think he talks well. I think the fact Rangers fans grew weary of listening to Russell Martin and all the excuses he came up with, and I think they'll be encouraged by the way that one of the first things he said when he was announced earlier this week was the fact that I've not got time to get to work with the players I can't use that as an excuse, and I think that is exactly what Rangers fans want to hear. Listen, I think the time for talking is well since long gone at this club. A lot of words said yesterday, the press conference with Andrew Kavanagh, Patrick Stewart, and Kevin Thelwell, and I can understand why fans just would be ready just to switch off from it all, because they've heard these things before. The only thing that is going to turn this situation around now is action, is getting wins, and starting to progress, whether it be domestically or in Europe. So that obviously starts tomorrow. I think nobody's going to be expecting this guy to work miracles, because frankly the team's a mess right now. So anything he can do to get them looking up the way will be applauded. But if they come out here and they carry on as they have been, then what can the fans expect? He's not a miracle worker. He's only been in the door 2 days. He's barely been able to sort of do any kind of preparation work before flying out here. So listen, I think he is talking about making changes, slight changes as much as he can do. I think he's also talking about making some changes to the starting lineup. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. But yeah, I mean, listen, I don't think the Rangers fans can be expecting, this team to suddenly start appearing like 1970s Brazil. There's a lot of work to be done to get this side looking anywhere near fit and proper.
I think that the target, first objective for Danny Rowe tomorrow night is just pick your best players, put them in their best positions, try and make them look a bit more solid, a bit more organised, and show us a little sign of progress. It's almost, if you feel this game result-wise is almost a free hit, as long as there are signs that they look better, organised, harder to beat, and perhaps more likely to score a goal at the other end. If there's just some signs of improvement, I think everybody realises he's not had enough time. But it does feel like that, Andy, to me. It's almost as close as he's ever going to get, and he better make the most of it, because they don't come around that often. As close as he's going to get to a free hit as a Rangers boss, or first-team men's head coach.
The thing he was talking about, the thing he really wants to see is an intensity in terms of how they get the ball forward. He wants to see them get the ball into the final third a lot quicker than they've been managing. And we all know that was the big frustration that fans had with Russell Martin's team, is that they spent so long just basically mucking about at the back end of the park, knocking it sideways. He wants to see them get the ball forward. And he's basically laying out in the press conference, the more time you can spend in the final third, the more balls you can get in the box. It's obvious the more goals you're going to score. In fact, if you're spending half the game just basically, I was going to say another word there, but mucking about at the back, then obviously it stands to reason that you're not going to be creating chances. So I think that'll be a big thing for me in terms of whether it's a free hit or not. Yeah, I think right now, I don't think the words of Patrick Stewart and Kevin Thelwell have assuaged any of the concerns that fans have about them. So if there's any anger, it can't be pointed at Danny Rowe. It will still be going. The fingers will be pointed at the director's box. But a bit like Brendan Rodgers, these kind of these kind of things only last so long, and eventually people will start looking at you as the manager. You're effectively the buck stops. So yeah, he'll know that he'll be under pressure to get results. I do kind of sense though that as much as the reaction to his appointment earlier on this week was a bit lukewarm, I think the fact the more people have heard from him, the more people have read into what he achieved at Sheffield Wednesday, working in circumstances that are incredibly even worse than the situation here at Ibrox. I think people have maybe taken a wee bit more encouragement from him, saying maybe this guy can be okay. The lack of experience as an issue, only 89 games as a frontline manager, but when you consider end of the day, they've been knocked back by everybody else. He was the only guy willing to take this challenge on, so I think you have to applaud him in that sense. Maybe he's crazy to do it, but the fact that he's willing, he believes he can turn this around, well, I think the fans have to be encouraged by that. Everybody else is taking a look at it and running the other way, so.
I don't think you can hear it at your end, Andy, right? But there's a bit of interference coming through on your end, and it sounds a bit like Babe the Pig is like at your feet or something. It's like snorting, and the fans are loving every minute of it. Rangers, Andy better try and find the local Norwegian store selling Imodium. Someone, Craigie, a moment ago says Andy Newpork, which I thought was a good one.
Okay.
But aye.
It's better than what I usually get called on social media. So.
I was actually genuinely concerned that wee Scotty had gone out for a curry last night and he's currently doing the camera work.
But let's not talk about last night. £10 pints, by the way. I really, I don't envy him doing the punters coming over here. I mean, Jesus, we made the wise choice of going for a wee stop off in duty free before coming in and heading to the local hosteleries. But £11 a pint I paid at one point. My God!
Oh, you're not getting that signed off on your expenses.
No, they might struggle to get that one through the recce, so we'll see how that one goes.
We've got plenty of comments coming in of a more serious nature. Let me run through a few of them. This one says, Sean says, very little pressure with that Sheffield job. Nobody expected anything. That's the polar opposite at Rangers. This one coming in as well from Rangers is okay. Says, going by what has come out from the few meetings, hires up last night. Patrick Stewart is not a great communicator at all. I'm no fan of his or Thelwell, but at least they come out and faced the music. The Sniper says, what I'll say is, if Raw manages to win his first 3 domestic games, he'll be in a final and third behind Celtic by 4 or 5 points. That's a start if it happens. And a few fans as well asking Andy, if Rangers do lose tomorrow night, that'll be obviously 3 defeats in the Europa League. Is that them essentially out the running to make the knockout stages?
No, but we leave them in a really difficult position. I think the benchmark is 4 wins gets you through, really. So, but we leave them having to win, 4 out of the last 5 games. I think the more wiggle room they can give themselves, the better. But it's a bit like the domestic campaign. They have to start getting motoring soon. I mean, Danny Rowe was talking about, he wasn't going to make any bold predictions about. By magic, here's the man with the curry. I don't know if you'll need to make figures on it. I mean, he was talking about the importance of getting through the international break and seeing where they are at that point, because he wasn't wanting to make any bold predictions about what the club can achieve. I think Scott was you through the sort of question, trying to ask if we'd be disappointed if we didn't get a win this season. A trophy this season. He didn't want to sort of go down that road, but he said, listen, what will be crucial is if we can get ourselves through the next international break in November and assess where we are there, and if you picked up some wins, then maybe you can start looking to achieve some things this season.
Scott, you were going to say something there, Keith?
No, I was just looking at Scott. Actually, I can't. No, that way, once you've seen something, you can't unsee it. Well, it turns out it's a very similar thing with hearing that. I'm just listening to this flatulent pig that is somewhere running about the main stand.
Apparently there's some sort of distortion on the
an audio glitch. Right. Best call it.
All right. Sorry.
I was once when Scotty, when you hadn't turned up, I was actually wondering if you were behind the camera holding it and if you'd gone out for a dodgy Norwegian curry last night. But glad to see you coming in from the other direction. What's been your kind of first thoughts on Danny Rawl, Scotty, and I think it was a really awkward first press conference for him at the stadium yesterday, because he could only have been aware of the sort of the questions that were getting asked of the executives and the chairman. Quite an awkward one, especially for a guy that's not got a great deal of experience. What did he look and feel like tonight? Bit more relaxed, bit more in his own comfort zone the night before a game?
I think he was, Andy, wasn't he? He was very, very smiley. He came into the press room. Obviously, he hadn't met us yet because we were travelling yesterday, so he came and introduced himself to everybody. Seemed very relaxed, spoke very well, said all the right things. I like what he's talking about, Jack. I mean, I think he wouldn't have been my first choice as Rangers manager. Probably, no, we know he's not the fans' first choice either. But I think there have
wasn't even the board's first choice, wee man.
Exactly. But I think the fans will be quite quietly impressed with his first couple of days, just the way he's spoken. I like the fact that he's talking about that press conference there. Spent a lot of time talking about lights have gone out this.
This is shambolic.
He spoke a lot about mentality and mindset. These Rangers players, and I think.
Well, let's maintain some kind of professionalism. Come on.
How come when I turn up, everything just goes haywire?
Well, look, guys.
Right.
There's not
This
much
is the
you
worst
can do.
outside broadcast of all time.
There's not much you can do.
No?
Before we let you go, hit us with your predictions. How do you think it will go tomorrow night?
I think Rangers will win. I think they'll win 2-1. I think Roll will get enough fair reaction, enough fair bounce out of them to go and win the game. I think if they get through the early part of the game, because I think this place will be rocking, they'll go for Rangers' throats early, but if they can survive that wee spell, then I think they can get a couple of goals and win it.
I went 1-1. I think Danny Rowell's, sides on Saturday with Stevie Smith's team that Rangers they found a wee bit more of an edge in the final third, but Danny Rowell's not a miracle worker. There's still major flaws in this team that's going to take a wee while to get them out, so I think I draw with a decent result. And you guys aren't any miracle workers either, so we're going to head to the pub and spend what's left of our recce's, if that's okay.
You've got nothing left of your recce's. I know that for a fact already.
Craigie says the pigs have chewed through the wires, and I think that's the perfect spot to end it on. But guys, thanks very much for joining us as ever.
Cheers.
Whoa!
Halloween Fright Night early.
Oh my God.
Have a good night, guys, and I hope it's a cracking
cheers.
night. Cheers, guys.
Cheers, boys.
I think that went quite smoothly, Keith.
I don't think anybody noticed anything there. I think they got away with it.
That little weird pig noise is.
I've heard it before.
Aye, it's happened before, but I'm not sure what causes it.
It's probably the top technology that the boys are sent out into the field with.
Yeah, that's true. All the people
20-year-old iPhones and all this.
I'm pretty sure Andy's is actually just 2 cans with a bit of string.
Right, okay. Still doesn't really explain the flatulence, but there you are.
John is amongst people saying, calling us a comedy channel.
Sorry.
That's great. We weren't really aiming for comedy, but we'll take it, I guess. We asked the guys.
Better than usual, dross, isn't it?
We asked the guys their Keith, their predictions. Luke Skywalker in the comments says Danny Rowell confirmed he will wear a suit for his first game against Brann. So that's one tick in the box. How do you think they'll get on tomorrow night, Keith?
First of all, about that, do you know something? I obviously had quite a lot to say and write about the fact that I think Rangers are very deliberately and calculated. They're making this calculated sort of a shift away from traditions, and I think it's a little bit disrespectful to the supporters. Look, Danny Rowell wears a tracksuit, wears a bin bag, wears a club suit and tie. It's not really going to make a big difference, but you know what? I think it's quite clever, and where I think he's shown a little bit more nous than Thelwell and Patrick Stewart. But I think it's a nod to the supporters. I think he's shown respect to the position, respect to the club. And, whether or not it makes any material difference, it won't make any material difference to how his side performs on the pitch. But I think just in terms of a shrewd little nod and a good bit of PR, I actually think it's quite a good move by him. I think it's quite smart. In much the same way that I thought Russell Martin was showing the position a bit of disrespect and refusing and making a point of it. So I think he's been quite clever there, and that's a good sign. Now, whether or not he's clever enough to work out how to make a team out of the squad that he's been left, that's another thing entirely. But I think that's not a bad indication that he's a guy that is aware of the size of the thing. He is aware of the traditions of the club, and he's aware that that'll probably play quite nicely to the galleries in terms of the Rangers support. So good luck to him. That's actually not the worst start in the world. And I say all that because I'm praising him, because I think he's doing that probably off his own bat. But I think on the Rangers official website today, there was actually a picture, a photograph of his brown brogues. So as much as I'm giving him credit for doing that and being quite clever, what is that? What are they doing? What are they doing? Brown brogues, men's team, first team head coach. It's a shambles. But they're actually crying out for a bit of leadership and someone that they can fall in behind. Now, I think it's a long shot because of his lack of experience and his lack of years. But if Danny Rowell could be that guy, he could actually get Rangers out of a right difficult situation and start taking a lot of heat off people. But this is the bit where all we can do is just conjecture. We won't know until whatever time it is, back at 5 tomorrow night, when you see what it looks like on the pitch, what sort of performance Rangers put in, and ultimately what sort of result they come away with. As I said, I think it's close to being a free hit for him. What he doesn't want is a sore one, an embarrassment, because effectively the hammering that Rangers got over 2 legs against Bruges. Russell Martin, I'd called it before that. I think I went away. I was away holiday or whatever. But he was already on the Green Mile, wasn't he? He was already walking the Green Mile before that. That just confirmed the thing, and then it was just everybody just wasted everybody else's time from that moment on, because there was just never going to be any way back. I'm not saying that that's the case, obviously, for Danny Rowell in his first game, but just make it look a bit better, make it look a bit more organised, structured, make it look faster, more intense, and make it look as if you've got a chance of scoring a goal for open play. And I think whatever the result is, as long as it's not a scalping, I think he'll the Rangers fans will get right behind him, and welcome him back then into the domestic situation at the weekend. If they get a real hard time of it and it doesn't look any better and it's not any more structured, he still might get away with it, in terms of the Rangers fans will look at it and say, well, the guy's only just in the door, and quite rightly so. But he'll need to hit the ground, if not running tomorrow night, then certainly over the course of the next week to 10 days, he'll need to show signs that whatever it is that he sees that makes him a different sort of a coach or strategist than Russell Martin, you'll need to see signs of it. He needs to give people something.
Yeah.
In terms of what I think, and again, I'm crossing my fingers for Celtic and saying 2-0. I'm going to cross my fingers for Rangers and say I think he can get out of there with a 1-1 draw, and that wouldn't be the worst result in the world tomorrow night.
That'd be decent, I think.
Even though Rangers are actually really more in need of 3 points, I think if he could start off by taking a point on the road in the Europa League, it would constitute a decent introduction.
Some of the comments that are coming in from Rangers fans, John points out, how many goals will the Brogues and Soot score? None. Rebel says it's always good to look smart. Harry Duncan says, don't care if he has a stiletto heels on, as long as we win. That would be a bold outfit choice. Sniper, though, says it's not about tomorrow night, it's about Sunday. Obviously, they play Kilmarnock at home on Sunday in Roll's first league game.
I think that's right.
Aye, he says he can wear a pair of pants if he wants, just as long as it improves the team.
I hope he is wearing a pair of pants.
That would be good.
Otherwise, he might ruin that nice suit.
But I mean, you said it's right there about the Snipers' comments about Sunday. I think the league at this moment takes priority, doesn't it?
Yeah. You just look. The damage. It's not disastrous, the damage that's been done to this Europa League campaign, but it doesn't get much worse than losing your first 2. It can't get much worse than that. But there is still time for a bit of a repair job to get done. But I don't think, Rangers fans will realistically be looking at Danny Rowell saying, right, well, you have to win 3 points on Thursday night, and then, you need to find a way to get... I think they fully appreciate... They're not daft. They're fully appreciative of the fact that the squad has been made worse. It's been downgraded in just almost every area of the pitch since the summer. That Russell Martin was a catastrophe, and that Danny Rowell's been thrown in here to try and pick up the pieces. They'll be appreciative, and they will recognise the fact that he's on the start of his coaching career in terms of being the main man, the front guy, and not an assistant to somebody. He's had one crack at it at Sheffield Wednesday. These are all the reasons that I would say, they don't make him qualified to be in contention for the job, but he's got the job, and that's not his fault. And I think the Rangers fans will kind of wish the guy some good luck and a bit of a break, and they'll be desperate for a sign that he can do something different that they can believe in and get behind. But in terms of qualifying out the Europa League, if he can do that, that's a huge bonus.
Oh, it'd be huge.
But domestically is where the real, heavy lifting is required. Yeah. And he doesn't have a lot of time. And I think there'll be a lot of Rangers fans out there will be happy just to see some signs of improvement, some signs that this guy can make things better on Thursday night. But then he's got another couple of days to really kind of fine-tune things. It's not a lot of time, is it? But by the time he sends his team out to face Kilmarnock at Ibrox, he better be fairly confident in himself that he's made some tweaks and he's fine-tuned elements of the team that make them better. And that, you know, because otherwise, and although it's so early on, if Rangers suffer another sore face at home against Kilmarnock, the fans, as much as they will want to get behind this guy and see a reason to believe in him, their patience has been exhausted. Yeah. I don't know what Ibrox looks and feels like by full-time whistle on Sunday if more points have been spilled.
Kelly aren't in the greatest run of form, and I know we've obviously got tomorrow night show as well, but do you fancy Kelly getting a result there? I know it's hard to judge Rangers at the minute, but
I think there's been big signs of improvement under Stuart Kettlewell over the last few. I know not all the results, but the way I think they'll give Rangers a difficult game. I think anybody in the Scottish top flight right now gives Rangers a difficult game, and it will continue to be that until there's a clear sign that they've got a guy in charge of the game plan and the strategy who actually knows what it is that he's trying to achieve and is capable of instructing the players. The wage bill tells you that Rangers should be out there and romping against, you know, just about every other team in the Premier League or the Premiership. But the results tell you a different story entirely. So it really is a matter now of what's Danny Rowell got up his sleeve? What's he going to show? Is he going to step into this as if he was to the manner born? Is he just going to work his magic and instantly get a bounce out of these players? Or is he going to start, you know, despite his enthusiasm and his best intentions, is he going to realise, wow, what a job here? And is he capable of dealing with the environment? Because we've said it, you know, I don't know how often we say it in this show, but that's the thing. You know, you can have all the best intentions, great ideas in the world. You can have all the talent as a player in the world. If you come to Glasgow and you can't take the temperature, if you can't handle the environment, then you wilt. And it's the same on the sidelines as it is on the pitch. And that's now going to be the interesting test for Danny Rowell. And it's going to be really difficult for him. And it's actually going to be really harsh for people like us to sit in judgment, because he is literally just in the door. But, you know, that's such as life. That's such as life. That's just the way. That's the price of the ticket in this part of the world, Dan. And, you know, I wish him luck. I think he's going to need it.
Luke Skywalker in the comments says our next signing should be Timo Werner. Don't know if you saw this, but Sasha Lenz is Timo Werner's father-in-law.
Yeah, that's right.
The new Rangers assistant, so that's maybe one to watch. And just finally in the comments, Rebel says, what time the Rangers game tomorrow? Early kickoff. It's a 5:45 kickoff. Celtic's 8, and that obviously brings me to the final point tonight. It'll be a late night Hotline live tomorrow night. I know you love them, Keith.
Yeah, late night double header. I mean, it's quite interesting because, you know, previously you've had Celtic playing on Tuesday or Wednesday in the Champions League, Rangers Europa League Thursdays. So now you've got this kind of double header, one early kick-off and a later one, which is great if you love sitting down and just watching a bit of football and hoping that, you know, Scottish sides can take care of themselves and do the country proud in the European arena. So I'm looking forward to it. And yep, cups of tea all round, because I don't know what time are we on. Back at 10, 10:15?
Just after 10, I think it will be. And actually, just before we sign off, I think Andy Newport and his pet pig come in so quick. I didn't get your prediction for Celtic. Do you think they'll get a win tomorrow night?
I went 2-0 Celtic.
Interesting.
But I said that's very much a fingers crossed 2-0, in the same way that I'm getting my fingers crossed for a Rangers 1 each. And I don't have much hope for Aberdeen, unfortunately.
Tough one away to Ike Athens.
I think that's a really tough one.
Aye. Green Machine, it would be great, says it would be great if they both win. And I think that's the perfect note to sign off for tonight. Thank you so much for all the comments as usual. We apologise about the pet pig making a a surprise cameo on tonight's show. We'll try and iron that out. And thank you so much to the Brandbergen electricity staff for cutting out the lights there. It's the best Scots ever looked, Keith, some might say.
That was something that I'd rather forget all about.
Well, we can promise there won't be any pigs tomorrow night, just me and Keith. We hope you can join us then at 10 p.m. Keith, it's always a pleasure.
Yeah, thanks to that was a challenge tonight, Dan. Let's make it better tomorrow night.
All right, we'll try our best. We'll be back after the games tomorrow night, just after 10 o'clock. We hope you can join us then. Thanks for watching.